go. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome back. We are so happy that you decided to join us today, and we want to thank you for tuning in to listen to us what talk about our podcast and the topic that we have today. And for those of you who don't know, this is Reset Mindset, and I'm just gonna say it shit unlocked. So, and we call it that because we unlock a lot of crazy things that we get inundated with as we go through life. So, I'm one of your hosts. My name is Tracy Powell, and we have the lovely.
Beth Hall.
Thank you. So, we're just like we said, we're super excited that you decided to join us today. And today, we're going to deal with a topic that I'm sure all of us can relate to, and it is the topic of fear. And I
Mhm.
don't know, this one is really something because it's something we all relate to. And I think that, I don't know, I was just talking about a minute ago about what we're living in right now, but I think with fear, you hear it said that it's Satan's number one weapon. We don't like to give him credit, but he thrives off of what he knows about us or what
Right.
he finds that we're, afraid of. But I think too, I was thinking today that if we knew how to put fear in its proper perspective, it wouldn't be so bad. So let's jump in and dive right into it. Um, I guess the first thing I want to say is when we talk about fear in the biblical sense, it's more than just being frightened. It involves a lot of different emotions, excuse me, such as reverence, awe, respect,
Right.
and it's respect for God as well as having apprehension and dread. And fearing God is a positive thing because it's one of the foundational aspects of faith that leads to wisdom and obedience. So
Yeah.
fear in itself is not bad because it's when you get down to the core meaning, it's a human emotion. And when we talk about that, it triggers perceived threats, both real and made up or imagined. And it
Right.
also serves as a survival mechanism. And that's fine and good. But it can become debilitating when it's excessive.
Right.
And that's what we're going to talk about because fear is both psychological and physiological. When it shows up psychological, it deals with mental and
Hmm.
emotions because that's when we're feeling anxiety and we're apprehensive about things. When it shows up physiological, it takes on like a whole, it shows up in the body in different ways like rapid heartbeat, increased breathing. It shows in stress hormones, which leads to a whole bunch of other stuff.
Right.
So fear can really be something when we get right down to it, and I think it's something we've all dealt with. I know I have. I used to be afraid of everything, honestly, because I didn't know, honestly, the power. I didn't understand. I won't say I didn't know God because I definitely knew God. I didn't understand the power, the presence, and the peace of God.
Right.
So.
I think also too, fear creeps in, and I'm going to take it from the work perspective,
Mhm.
is, you know, maybe a lot's going on in the workplace.
Yeah.
And then if you take on, you're one of those people that take on what's going on the outside, and you say, it's me,
Mhm.
and then so you're taking that on, and then you're predicting because your mind is saying, well, if you just took that on, then it is you. Oh, so then you are up for being laid off, or you're up to, you're going to have to deal with the wrath of your boss or whatever it may be in the workplace. You just created that whole scenario when it
Right.
really had nothing to do with you.
Right. You're right. And fear will do that. Whether it's in the workplace, at
Hmm.
home, wherever, because I found that, the fears I had from a kid, like I remember being super, super shy. And one time in particular, my mom was always progressive about us, with the finances and saving. So as a kid, she wanted us to have bank accounts and she wanted to teach us responsibility. So she took us to the bank and she wanted us to walk in by ourselves to open up the account. My brother went just, oh,
Right,
I'm
straight
going in.
through.
I stood there just crying and pitching a fit because I was afraid to talk to people. I built this thing up
Right,
like the expectation of what wasn't even there, you
right.
know. And it all stemmed from because I don't know, things that you see or like you just kind of put up in your head. And even with like when you were talking about corporate, I think about like, when we have fears of trying new things, or maybe you feel like you're not educated enough, or if you're up for a promotion or a promotion that you would like,
Right.
maybe you feel you don't have the skill set or something. And so you end up talking yourself out
Out of
of it
it.
before you even attempt. And it's like, don't,
So
fear can
true.
be isolating and make you feel stuck
Right.
because of all these imagined, because once again, we have to remember fear stems out of emotions.
Yes,
And it's like all these emotions we have about what it's going to be. Maybe you haven't had the opportunity to go get the degree or whatever, but you have the skill set, but you'll never know unless
exactly.
you try.
Right. And
And
exactly what you were saying, Tracy. It's really a lot of times women, we do this more than men. There's
mhm,
numbers that show there will be a job that, whatever, it's the title, and you're like, yes, I want to go based on the title.
mhm.
Then you see the job description, and then you see the requirements. And as women, we do the checkbox system.
Yes.
I have this. No, I don't have that. No, I don't have that.
Oh, I gotta go get
I'm
that.
short on a little bit of the years for this. No, I don't have that. While a man will go ahead and apply, and all in his mind, what he says is all they could say is no. I've
No.
heard that before.
I must say that is my favorite saying. I have learned that
Yeah,
through that's how I deal with the things, my insecurities and fears,
yeah,
is that is what I was taught. All they can say is no. I mean, because if I don't live, I'm going to heaven. So that's a win-win. So all you can do is tell me no. But it takes a lot to get there sometimes because depending on what we've gone through or what has
sure.
happened to us in life, or maybe, you always trained everyone or and always got
Yeah,
looked over. So now there's another opportunity and you're like, well, why even try? You're shrinking back now because of
yep,
fear. We have, fear, we let those different emotions, the isolation, all these things set in.
yep,
It's hard to bounce back from. So we have to make it we have to be mindful and make an effort that, okay, whatever it is that I'm feeling apprehensive about or anxious about, I need to meet it head on. Don't run from it, but meet it head
hmm,
on.
yeah,
Because that's the only way we can get through is to go through. We have to
right.
get through it, we have to go through it.
And it
And
will bring up some childhood, uh,
mhm,
you know, stories or issues that you never really dealt with. So
right,
you just got to keep pushing forward. Yes, you're going to go for it. What can they tell me? No. Okay, I still have a job.
right.
I still can pay my bills, I'm not,
Mhm.
I mean, hopefully you're not telling your current boss that you're looking outside for another job,
That wouldn't be too bright.
hopefully. Yeah. It's funny
Right.
we're talking about this topic because the ring that I have, I took it off because I had lotion on my hand, is faith over fear.
Wow, like that.
Yeah.
Faith over fear. That's it. And really, that's what it all stems back to is that faith, I mean, fear can be, and especially excessive fear, can be overcome, as I
Mm-hmm.
said in the beginning, through knowing the power, the
Mm-hmm.
presence, but most of all, the peace of God.
Yeah.
Once you get that, and y'all know I'm gonna throw in about three scriptures. That's all I'm gonna give you tonight. Three scriptures. One, Isaiah 41:10 says, "Be not afraid, for I am with you. Be not dismayed. I'm with you. I'm paraphrasing now. I'm gonna strengthen you. You're not gonna do this alone." That was one. Believe it or not, now I'm about to tell myself I used to have a serious fear, and I still don't like it, but I respect it. Thunder and lightning, the
Oh,
weather.
yeah. I'm with you.
And once God started speaking that to me, every time I gotta say that, and it just calmed me down because either you believe him or you
You
don't.
don't. Mm-hmm.
So Isaiah 41:10. Then Second Timothy 1:7 says, "For God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of
Mm-hmm.
power, love, and a sound mind."
Right.
So anytime you start feeling anxious or scared or just stuck and you want to go forward but you're afraid to, just use those scriptures, stand on it. God hasn't given that to you, so if God hasn't given it to you, it's time to face that thing and just deal with it. And it may turn out the way you want, it may not, but at least you dealt with it. Deal with
Right.
those emotions so that the next time it's like, well, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. So we have to just meet things head on. And then the last scripture, John 14:7, it talks about, God says, my peace I give you, not the peace of the world, but it's a peace that I can give you, that
Right.
you are not afraid. So, pray those scriptures and you will see a difference in your life. Because right now, it's amazing. I have one friend in particular, or say associate in particular, that I was like, you really need to get a grip on this because of the climate that we live in right now. People are afraid because we're under this leadership or this administration that operates, their main technique, their main tool
To
is,
create fear. Mm-hmm.
yes, to create fear. And if you fall for it, your life is going to be miserable. I
Yeah.
had this one person is like, "Oh, I'm scared to do this. I'm scared to do that." I was like, no, 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 no. Now is the time. And I think God wants us to all, no matter who you are,
Mm-hmm.
turn to Him. Because
Yes.
if you're not in Him, these are some scary times. I
Yes.
mean, it really could be.
Yes.
But if you know that your faith and your trust is in God, it's all going to work out for you. But
Mm-hmm.
you have to have the peace that surpasses all understanding, and only God can give that. Now, you may not be like, "Oh, you're saying too much spiritual stuff." I'm sorry, that's just the way it. No, I'm not sorry.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is. Receive it or
Yeah.
not. But these are some very different times that we're living in, and
Yeah.
fear is everywhere. I mean, it's like certain people want you to be afraid to even just breathe. Like they want you to toe the line, see it their
Yeah.
way or no way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not how we're supposed to live.
No.
So if you find yourself being fearful, turn to God, meet it head on. It's not as bad as you think it is.
Right. And I want to say with that about fear is that there's been times when I have been asleep
Hmm.
and then I go to sleep with some work stuff in my head. You should
Hmm.
never do that, but
It happens.
it's harder to do that than, whatever. But I'm sleeping and then all of a sudden my mind is like, well, what if this doesn't work out? What if you don't get that contract? What if
Hmm.
you screw up making your speech because maybe you don't like speaking, but then you're like, I remember back in elementary school, I made a speech, everybody laughed at me, blah, blah. Everything is going through my mind. And I'm like, oh, I need to sleep. And I just got up, sat up in my bed, and I said, Our Father prayer. And
Yes.
that's it. And then I went back to sleep. I was dead to the world. Okay. It probably would have taken a fire truck to come inside my house and get me out of the bed because I was like, that's it. I just
Yeah.
said the Our Father prayer, and that was it.
Yeah. And it's something that's never ever going to go away because it- fear in itself.
Mm-hmm.
can, as we said in the beginning, be a survival mechanism because you
Yeah.
can start feeling something that's like, hey, it's time to flight, time to flee this situation. And
Yeah.
that's a good thing because it's
Yep.
keeping
Mm-hmm.
you safe and protected. It's
Right.
when we get overly fearful, when we get into the excessive, when it becomes a problem.
Right.
It's funny you were saying it because I kind of had a situation earlier this week myself that I live in a very expensive area.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I need to start making some moves soon.
Mm-hmm.
My situation with the loved one that I'm taking care of, I have to consider that.
Sure.
And there's a certain area I have to stay in for her to continue her care. So
Sure.
I'm just like looking for places and I got frustrated. And then, like, the frustration that I was feeling just that quick, the enemy tried to turn it into fear. Oh, you're not going to find anywhere. You're
Mm-hmm.
single. It's going to be way too much for you. Da 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 da. And it was like, shut down. Just
Mm-hmm.
stop looking. Go to sleep. Pray. I got through the night and I prayed. The first thing in the morning, my sister sends me, not knowing what I was dealing with. She sends me this. What do they call it? Short, a reel.
Right.
And I mean, it was like, hey, basically, it was like God had this preacher yelling at me. It's like, hey, the enemy wants to make you fearful of all kind of things, but you got to remember, if he did it for you once, he'll do it again. So what you up there afraid for? What are you upset about? And I'm like, okay, God, I got you. You're right. Either I trust you or I
You
don't.
don't. Exactly. That's a good phrase to keep saying to yourself when you're like, is either I trust him or I don't. And that's
Yeah,
it. Those are your two options
that's
because
it.
we know that God is not a God of chaos.
No.
He's not here to create that anxiety that you can't sleep or anything. He's a
Hmm.
loving father and he wants his children
Yes.
to come back to him and be like, I'm relying on you, God. Especially during these times, this is when you really should be going,
Yes.
repenting, going, saying, hey, I need you. I need you.
Yes. Yes.
I seriously need you.
Need you right now. Order all my steps because
Exactly.
this whole fear thing, once they get you to fear, then you can get paralyzed in your decision making. You become indecisive. You can shrink back like, okay, I'm just gonna be right here.
Mm-hmm.
And it just brings on types of not just even spiritual stuff, but like physical. It
Mm-hmm.
manifests physically. We all know about, well, women, we definitely know about cortisol.
Right.
That's strictly from stress.
Yeah.
Cortisol brings belly fat.
Yeah.
That's extra weight.
Yeah.
People of color, I know I'm one that when I get stressed out, I forgot how you pronounce the hormone, but it's a hormone that we release, a stress hormone that leaves
Right.
ugly spots.
Yeah.
So you don't want to put your body, your not just your spirit, your mind, but your body into all this fear that's manifesting everything that's negative.
Yeah.
Dwell on the peace of God. You
Right.
know, push yourself to go through whatever the situation is, and you find it's not as bad as you think it is, or if it involved a little pain, but you made it through.
Right.
So fear just has to me, be put in its proper perspective. Now, I'm not going to say that it's not going to shake you up from time to time, but you can get through it. You can get through it.
Right. You just need to know the difference of the fear, you know,
Hmm.
the fear of protection
Yes.
we want,
Right.
you want to know, like, okay, don't walk out in a busy street and just go, okay, here we
Yeah.
go. That kind of fear, like it's
Right.
that protection of like, hey, there's a car coming, wait your turn,
There
okay?
you go.
Um,
Siren going off, seek shelter. Those are things you want.
exactly.
But
But
go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, 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 no. I was just gonna say, but the one where it's holding you back,
Yes.
and I gotta say, if you keep constantly or finding yourself creating fear in your mind and you're taking on what's going on in the world, and because God said that's not for you to carry. So But if you're one of those people that do take on the outside world's issues on your shoulders, stop watching TV
Yes.
because
Social
that's
media.
social media, because those two things right there is what, if you find yourself, just take it day by day, baby steps. That's
Hmm.
all he's asking. Baby steps.
Yes.
Don't watch it.
Right.
Don't go on social
Don't
media.
watch it. And
Take
then,
a break.
yes. And like we always say every week, get that pen and paper out,
Yeah,
write it down and look at it.
yeah.
Where is this coming from? Is this like legitimate? Is this a fact? Or is this something that I've let turn into like something I've allowed to turn into something major that's just made up? It's not as
Mm-hmm.
bad as it. Write it down and see if this what this really is so that you can approach it from the right way. And if you don't understand it, then take that same thing on your paper and get on your knees and take it to the Lord, and He will help you with that.
Right.
So we just have, like you said, we have to put it in its perspective because we don't want to find ourselves, if we don't watch it, we can end up with low self-esteem,
Mm-hmm.
just all kind of things that we
Being
don't
a
want.
hermit.
Being a hermit, yes. And isolation gets you nowhere, you
Mm-mm.
know. So we need to like deal with it in its right form, knowing which one we're dealing with, what
Right.
and what's going on, and then address it from that avenues because we don't want to have things just blown out of proportion when there's no need to.
Mm-hmm.
And especially when we have God. And then ask yourself, is this, like Beth just said, is this something that I'm taking on that I really shouldn't even hold anyway?
Right.
And then find the scripture for that, if it's your
Mm-hmm.
job, you know, if it's in the corporate sector,
Right.
yeah, sometimes, oh, one example, I just want that. I'm glad you mentioned the corporate thing earlier because I just thought about something. I wanted to talk about my girl Esther. I was thinking, like, especially with corporate sometimes,
Yeah.
you know, and we all know the story of Esther about how she was a Jewish girl, didn't really make her nationality known at her nationality known at that particular moment to her husband,
Mm-hmm.
the king, and Mordecai, her uncle. So she's been selected as one of the wives and one of the queens,
Mm-hmm.
but she could only come to him when summoned. And she had not been summoned in about 30 days or more. And at that time, if you go before a king, no matter who it is, and he hasn't called for you, well, if he doesn't hold his scepter out to you, it's automatic death. So you
Right.
really didn't even attempt. But we all know that Haman wanted to kill the Jews.
Yeah.
So Mordecai got word of it, and he was like, hey, go tell Esther she needs to talk to the king. Esther replies back to Mordecai, can't go because I ain't been called for. And Tracy's paraphrasing. Uncle Mordecai was just like, look, Esther, don't get this twisted. You sitting up there in the palace, but don't think that if you don't come through, God will raise up deliverance from somewhere else, but you and
Mm-hmm.
your household will fall.
Yeah.
So maybe that you have been placed in this position at this time for such a time as this.
Yeah.
What we have to remember, even in corporate sometimes, that you might be having it really nice and cozy in your position and you're thinking about me, 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 me. But maybe God put you in that position to help others. And if you don't speak up when you should because you're worried about losing your job or your bonus,
Right.
it just may be that he sent you there to make way for other people. But if you don't, it'll still happen, but you won't get the credit. You may even lose your position. So we have to not let fear stop us from moving forward, making progress. If fear was a major thing to a lot of people, we wouldn't have the freedoms that we have today. So it's
Right.
important not to let fear rule our life, but for us to operate, in boldness and confidence and just meet those challenges head on.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking about earlier when I was reading about Esther. I was like, ooh, that's a good
Yeah.
one.
It is. It's so true. And you got to also, when you're writing it down, who's telling you these things as well too.
The
Because
source.
sometimes your um, friends, family members, whoever it may be, you have to kind of say, maybe I need to start distancing myself. You can still love them.
Mm,
I'm not saying
yes.
don't love them, but maybe you need to start saying, you know what, this
Hmm.
person, I need to put you up in the balcony
Yes.
because
How you said
you're
that.
you're creating me anxiety, or when
Mm-hmm.
we talk, you start saying the world's coming to an end or whatever it may be. And
Right.
then it's like, okay, they leave. Now you're
Mm-hmm.
going to bed sleeping like that. You can't sleep. You have bags under your eyes. You look like a hot mess and everything like that. And you're just like Debbie Downer
Right.
because of this.
And that kind of touches on what we had said last week, that you have some people are in your life for a season, you
Yeah,
know. It's about who you're around. You have to, if you want faith filled people around you, you have to surround yourself with people that are thinking the way you think, that
yeah,
are headed or even already where you want to go,
exactly.
because they're going to speak a different language,
Mm-hmm.
than, well, it don't take all that. Aren't you satisfied here? So faith, I mean, fear comes in a lot of different ways. So yeah, sometimes you got to put them in the balcony. Sometimes you got to kiss them bye-bye and love you from distance in your card once a year or something like that.
Exactly.
But
And
you
just
have to do what it takes to protect your spirit, man.
right,
You have to guard your spirit.
exactly. And that's
So,
the thing. I think a lot of people don't want to let go
right.
of whoever the source,
Mm-hmm.
or they'll say, but it's my parents. You know what? If they're causing you anxiety, you don't live with them, but every time you're around them,
Yes.
they're causing you anxiety because maybe they're saying you have to believe one way or the other, whatever,
Mhm.
and you're like, no, I'm doing it this way. And they're like, no, come over here or come over there or whatever, you know, set up those boundaries and start saying, okay, I'll visit you like once a month, maybe.
Mhm.
And then when you go there, you control control the narrative.
Mhm.
Talk about things that you know is not going to cause you the anxiety or whatever it may be.
And I'm glad you touched on that because um, I have a situation that there's an individual, whenever their name comes up or if they're around, anxiety sets in
Yeah.
and literally fear. And I'm like, okay, I've got to take control of this because there's no reason why I should feel this way.
Hmm.
So like you said, I have to set the boundaries.
Yeah.
Okay, I know that there's no escaping you because, hey, you're blood.
Right.
But when we are, this is the way it's going to be.
Yeah.
This is who's also going to be present. And
Yep.
this is how long we're going to be around each other. And then we're
Yep.
going to love each other, kiss, bye bye. And that's it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
once I started doing that, the fear subsided like
Yeah.
a lot. There's a little uncomfortable, but I'm not scared anymore.
Right.
And that's like you said, you have to set the boundaries. A lot of times in order to make change, we have to do that. We have to set our boundaries. How do you want the situation to look? You take charge. A lot of times people that feel like they're in control, they really aren't. They just know
Yeah.
they can, so they will. You have to tell them,
Hmm.
no, you can't. You know,
Exactly.
we'll show them.
Show them. Right.
So it's really what I wanted to touch on as far as fear today is like this. I was just thinking about where we are, and then even like the things as women that we go through, as you were hitting on, touching on, and just fear in general.
Yeah.
Fear is not bad when it's put in perspective, but don't let it become excessive. Know when it's the protection in the fight or flight, and
Hmm.
know when it's you just kind of letting things go a little wild in your head, or
Yep.
valid reasons to be fearful things that happened in the past, but don't let it hold you hostage now.
Right.
That's when you call on God. And real quick before we go, if you want to make sure that fear is out of your life, or that when fear appears that you can deal with it, like we said, The best fear to have is the fear and the reverence and the awe of God, Jesus
Hmm.
Christ. He said, all you have to do to be saved is just open up your mouth, confess it, believe in your heart that I'm sorry, that he came, he died, he was crucified, he died, and he rose again. And that's it. You're saved. And he will give you that peace that you need.
Yeah.
Just that quick, people, just that simple. So that's what we wanted to talk about today is dealing with fear. Remember, it's an emotion. Don't give it more credit than what it needs.
And if you're looking to like just say, I want to get back into the Bible and everything,
Mm-hmm.
and which Bible and all this stuff, it's really a preference of
Mm-hmm.
Bibles. Um, if you're always on your phone,
Get a
start
study
with one of
Bible
those.
start.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
start with one of those apps that offer different types of the versions of the Bible. If you're like, I need one that's just down to earth and is gonna say, "What's up, homie?" It won't say that, but basically maybe start with the Message Bible, and start there and then work your way to the other Bible
Yes,
verse translations, I should say.
there's a lot of them out there. And I don't know, I found the study Bible was a good for beginners and especially do it with your family. Make it a family thing, because God, you may not understand it all, but He will definitely honor the fact that you're reading the Word. You will
Hmm.
start to understand more than what you anticipated. So we just wanted to give you that little nugget tonight and tell everyone don't live in fear, especially in these times. Turn to the Lord.
Yes,
Pray, baby, pray. It heals and helps with a lot.
yes, it's so
So
true.
yes. So until next week, we are going to say peace and love. And
Yes.
we are so happy that you tune in and we don't take it for granted. So join us again next week and we'll have another good tidbit for you.
Bye for now.
Bye bye.